Welcome to Mom Matters, created by moms for moms. We continue our Me Time edition. It's a few minutes to just pause, breathe, and reset. You know, Me Time is an investment in your energy because when moms feel steadier, the family feels it too. So today we're talking about gratitude under pressure. Being thankful is easy when life is calm, but what about when it's busy or overwhelming? So we have Shannon McGuire. She's back to help us find gratitude even when life feels full. And gratitude isn't just about pretending that everything is okay. It's about noticing what's still good, even when it's just a little bit messy, right? So Shannon, so great to have you.
Yes, always glad to be with you.
All right, well, we are in the season of gratitude, right? Okay, so what a perfect time to kind of reset and pay attention to this. But you know, when life gets busy, as it is right now, I'm just gonna say it is just busy. There's no question about it. What are some of the first things that go for you that, you know, just kind of go out the window, right? Life's busy and you're like, oh yeah, that I used to do that, but now I don't do it right now.
You know, it's funny, planning, which is interesting. I spend my time as plan, but the concept of planning and being so forward thinking, I have to come back to the present moment and work the plan that I have, fall back on my routines, but all of the what ifs and should and could, life is busy, oh my God, I just be in the moment. So anything that distracts from the now. I think that was The Incredibles. It was the character, she's like, never look back, darling. It distracts from the now.
Yes. Edna Mode.
Yes.
Oh, I love The Incredibles. There's so many great like life lessons and so many animated movies. That's a conversation for another time.
Yes.
So I want to echo what you just said. You know, planning. I find that what happens to me when I get busy and overwhelmed is I overplan. I'll be like, I'll find every scenario and every situation and go, okay, well, they're gonna do that and they have to do this, and if that happens, then we'll do this and we'll do that, and then I'm gonna grab that. And then my husband's constantly like, just stop. You're planning for so many variables that don't exist, right?
Yes.
That just live right now and try to be flexible.
Oh, I like that. Spontaneous flexibility in the moment. And you're probably a strategic thinker. That's like your top strength, because we look at the patterns and what's going to unfold. And that's why I have to go back to the plan. I have to go back to what is on the docket. What do I need to get done?
Yes.
Otherwise, if I stay in the over planning, I get my patience strained.
Totally.
And I get grouchy.
Yeah.
Get grouchy.
Yes. Shannon, I see you. Yes. Okay. So how do you know when you're actually running on empty? Help us understand, you know, what are some signs that you need to reset? And then when you notice that, how do you pause and reset?
Yeah, the grouchy, I'll start there, grouchy talk. Because I grew up with the culture of grouchy talk constant, and it's something I've been working on my entire life to not be bitey. And so I noticed first, how am I showing up for people in my life, especially those that I care about? Am I getting grouchy and impatient? And then I move into my mind. Is it cluttery? Am I overthinking and overanalyzing and worrying too much? And then I try to go back into the heart and go, how am I feeling? And I check my breathing, because have you noticed the shallow breathing creeps in so quick?
Completely. And here. I feel it here, right?
Yes.
The shoulders, the head, the neck, like the tension. Just kind of, and I'm like, wait, why?
Yes.
Why do I feel like my head's in a vice? Okay. Breathe, drop the shoulders, check in. And I love the fact that you always talk about dropping into your heart center, right? And for those, you know, maybe it sounds a little woo-woo, but what it means though, it's not. It's check in with yourself. I think as adults, we all get in this mode where we're just constantly dismissing.
Oh, I like that, because we're so busy doing, and
we don't have time for that.
We don't have time for these feelings.
I'm grown up. I have big girl pants on.
I don't need emotions and
exactly.
feelings.
I don't got time for that. And it's like, oh no, you
so important.
better make time for that, because you can't be your best self if you're not being mindful of how you're feeling.
Well, and then jumping out of the head and back into the heart, first organ that forms, right? Jumping into the heart, not just being too touchy-feely and over emotional, but it really is, how am I? What am I feeling? Because that gives me the center of control. I'm feeling urgent and rushed. Oh, breathe. So that means there's some fear there. Maybe some anger, and now I can mitigate that. It's being truthful about how you feel, because that drives your reality experience. I used to think that was a joke. I used to think that it was so woo-woo, but it is so true.
Oh, it is so true.
How we feel magnetizes.
It's not so woo-woo, it's so true. There's truth to it. Yes, seriously.
True.
It's true. Because, and if you are someone who is more of an analytical brain, right, you think science and you're like, oh, touchy-feely. No, there's science. This is science. It's just the different ways in which we're choosing to speak about it and communicate it. But it is the same thing.
Yes. And
it is the same thing.
If you're like me, you grew up in a culture where you didn't tap into that too much. It was go, 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 put it back. I'm not stressed. Nothing's wrong. Just keep hammering away.
Yep.
And over time, it erodes that connection with self.
Totally.
And I won't.
And then it's a domino effect
Yes.
that just moves forward from there.
And people in your life feel it. And that's why
Yes.
gratitude is so important.
Oh,
So
yes,
important.
It is. Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to think of a small, specific moment, speaking of gratitude, where you were grateful, likely in this recent time, right? Even when things were a little chaotic or out of control. So, give an example of how we can do this.
Oh my goodness. So recently I made the absolute harebrained mistake and flooded my bathroom. I forgot to turn off my bath water, and next thing you know, there's water everywhere. And my daughter comes up and going, it's leaking downstairs. I'm like, oh crap, I forgot. And I was so mortified. The shame, the guilt came in because it was during a time, is it ever a convenient time?
No, never.
And so I was just berating myself, like, how could you? Now we have to go through all these things. But then I paused.
Oh.
And I thought, you know what? There's a bigger story unfolding. Okay, wow, I flooded the home. I have insurance. I have my mobility. Everyone's healthy and safe. And get this, when they went in and opened everything up, because apparently mold can start growing within 24 hours.
Oh, really?
They found 3 to 4 feet expansion of mold growth.
Oh, so that means it's been leaking.
It's probably been leaking and things have probably been moist in there. And instead of just staying in the stress moment of contractors coming in and fans and tearing things down, I just sat with it and thought, you're alive, you're breathing.
Totally.
Just be grateful.
The perspective.
Grateful. And that's it, Melissa. It's the perspective to see things from a true light. Instead of going, I wish I would have and shoulda, woulda, coulda, and guilt and shame.
Yeah.
Coming back to being where the present moment is.
Yeah.
We're safe, we're loved, we're okay. So it's a big event in some ways, but so tiny in the scheme of things.
Truly.
'Cause it's like, so you got you flooded the bathroom.
Yeah.
But you're getting it fixed. It's not done yet.
Yeah.
But I've had to constantly, as I walk into the bare floor of the bathroom, I'm grateful.
Yes. Well, and I'm so glad you mentioned that too, right? Because especially I think when you're getting new into a practice, and even if you've done it forever, right? It's not like you're grateful and then you feel it and you feel warm and fuzzy and you're happy and then that's it. And never again will you ever be disgruntled. Or will that same problem come up and bug you? No, that's not how that works, right? It will re-arise, but just getting that skill of going, oh, I see you. Yeah, you're back. Okay, well, thank you, but no. Right? Not today, Satan. Not today. Yes. And then, like you said, reminding yourself of the true perspective of what just happened and being grateful.
Because gratitude is so continuous. We don't arrive at the serene space of gratitude and the rest of our life is rosy. I mean, I had that reality check long ago. It's really the micro practice of gratitude.
Yes.
And that's why being present is so important. And sometimes being present is hard because you're in a hard situation and you don't want to be in it. But finding gratitude for the tiniest things opens the gateway to joy, not happiness, but joy from within.
True joy.
And shifts your whole body, your energy force around you, and the people in your life.
Yeah.
So grateful.
So many things you just said that I want to point out really quick. So again, micro gratefulness, right? I want to talk a little bit more about that here too in just a moment. And then you had mentioned joy, not happiness, but joy, right? Because I think and correct me if you've heard this differently, but from my understanding, happiness, we have all felt happiness, right? Like, happiness is good. But it's temporary.
Yes.
And it's usually tied to something. Whereas joy is truly living in a space of positivity, even if there are negative things around you.
Yes.
Really, though, remaining in the light, if you will.
Ooh, I like that. Absolutely. Yeah. I like to say happiness. What's easier for me to communicate, especially to my children, happiness is what happens to you.
Yeah.
It's a happen, right?
Yes.
Versus joy
is a state of being.
It's totally. And
yes,
we can unfold state of being so much, but it's the actual being, the essence of the energy, the expression, and it's birthed from within. It doesn't have to happen because my circumstance changed or something went my way.
You can choose to be.
You can choose, and that's why gratitude is so important. And micro gratitude, because we often put our joy on hold and say, I'll feel better when, if. But gratitude says, what about the now? What can you be grateful for now? Count your blessings now.
Now.
Gratitude, I like to say it's a grateful attitude. Gratitude.
Well, yeah.
Gratitude.
Say it that way. It's like, duh. Okay, yes, yes.
So easy
yes.
conceptually, but oh Lord,
Yes.
practice.
Oh, the simplest things are always the hardest.
Practice.
Okay, I want to talk though too about how the body responds when you actually slow down and you take a few deep breaths, right? And also how the body responds too when you're stressed, right? I mentioned when I get stressed, I hold it here, right? My shoulders, my neck, my head. I seriously, my masseuse will be like, "Oh my Lord."
Tense.
So, you know, he's like, you're like steel. Like, what is going on? And I'll be like, how did you know?
I feel you, girl.
I just touch your shoulders and it's like a rock. But let's talk about what happens too when we slow down. What happens to the body?
Oh my gosh, parasympathetic comes in. So we start to get those serotonin, dopamine hormones in, DHEA. We start to literally loosen up and feel good. Our food digests differently. Our eyes stop doing the big old pupil dilation and our heartbeat slows. We come more into ease of ourselves. Our breathing regulates. And then our brain comes online.
Yeah.
And we can show up for those conversations and those people, because when you're in a state of constant stress and dysregulation, I'm similar. My butt cheeks clench, girl. So I'm like, so just being at ease and sort of melting in, the whole flow. It's
Yes.
just being like water and being able to flow. And it's so important because sometimes we confuse feeling good in the moment with the stress-induced things. So we've talked about this before, me and my desserts and my cookies. So that stress eating, I won't feel so good afterwards.
Totally.
It feels good in that moment, but when gratitude is there and I'm in a state of joy, I can be more present, I can be more at ease, and I actually feel me and feel good. So it's really important.
Absolutely.
That dopamine and serotonin.
Okay, so after the break, we're going to explore gratitude and how it can actually be used when life feels a bit too much. We're going to talk about that a little bit more right after this. All right, so fall brings both beauty and pressure, the holidays, expectations, budgets, and busy schedules. They all compete for our attention. Sometimes gratitude feels like just one more thing that we have to pile on too, right? But that's not true though, because gratitude isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about noticing what's still good even when life is messy or demanding. So one simple way to reset your body and mind is to pair a genuine thank you thought with slow, even breaths. And here to explain further, we have the fantastic Shannon McGuire. Shannon, so when life gets busy, what are the first few things that disappear from your self-care routine? I think earlier we talked about, sticking to the plan was important for you, right? For me, it's about not planning as much, because then I get into overdrive. What are some other common things you see people throw out?
Oh my goodness, people throw out their ability to be present, right? And start to go with the what ifs and just the scenario scheming or the shame. Let's bring it back to the feelings. People get a lot of shame or guilt and blame. And that one is like, be lame. I don't want to be lame, so no blaming.
I like that.
But people,
that's good.
I notice that we get into this emotional state without acknowledging it and honoring it. And we turn the external environment into the problem. And we say, because of this and this and this and that, and we can't stay present. And of course, the busyness, so many things to check off and do. But I think that's part of it, Melissa, is we fill our to-do list with so much, and it carries over day after day. So we throw out all of the potential for that joy in receiving it, and the gratitude falls to the wayside because we want things to be different. Those wants.
Those wants. And like you said, that list to that litany that we create for ourselves, it's like we create all these expectations. And I think if we all paused and looked at the list, we'd go, okay, so whose expectations am I filling?
Who made these rules?
Who made these rules, right? And it's like, well, how many of them really are ones that you truly feel you're going to be letting people down if you don't do them? And how many are ones that you feel really need to be done?
Yes. Well,
And then which ones are really needed?
I was going to add to that and say yes, what's really needed, because when the busyness sets in, sometimes I go into this mode, oftentimes, where I'll take it all on. I got it.
What are you talking about?
Like, who does that? And the delegation goes out the window.
Totally.
It's like, I'm not going to pass this on. I have to do it. So that's where I have to bring it back to the controllables.
Yep.
The controllables. And not from a sense of vice gripping, but going, what really matters? What's so important now?
Okay, so let's talk about, we've talked about all these vices, right? And we had mentioned stopping and breathing and dropping into our heart center. But remind us, though, to get to that point, how do you remind yourself that you need to stop? Share with me some of the red flags that you notice. And then, or do you go throughout the day and you set yourself reminders, right? And the reason I'm asking this is because I've noticed, especially this time of year, I purposely, like in the morning before I even start my day, I have to stop and go, okay, I know I've got this and this and this and this and this. Where in my day am I pausing just for 5 minutes to check in?
Yes.
And say, okay, I know you're going to this meeting, you got that, and you got this, and then you have to pee somewhere in between there. But where's that 5 minutes for you just to go, okay, how's it going?
We're so similar, and that's where I come back to. First, in the morning, I have to have that calm time. I make my tea first, and I sit with the quiet, and I go through my gratitude journaling, and then micro moments throughout the day, in between meetings. So before things kick off, in the car, even in the moments of great stress, because it's easy to say I'll practice gratitude when things are perfect and calm.
Yeah.
But it's actually in the cray-cray,
Yes.
where I'll have to stop myself and go, don't get sucked into the tornado, stay in the center of the storm, and breathe. I know I say this a lot, but the breathing is so important because that's one of the main regulators of our system. And I do my joy prompt, just observe you. And I always ask, how am I? So Shannon, how are you? How are you? I'm stressed. And it sounds a little cray because I'll talk to myself.
No.
It's self-coaching.
Yep.
And I mitigate that voice in my head that disturbs me, the ego that likes to blame and shame, but making those conscious pauses when things are good and when they're not so good.
Yes.
And it's a muscle. You're so right when you said earlier, the practice, because it's not a one and done. It's constant.
Yeah, and when I think about this too, we have a lot of athletes in my family, so I come at it too from the perspective of like anyone who is an athlete, right? Where you wouldn't expect yourself to just go from couch to running, a mile, super fast, right? You're patient with yourself.
Yes.
You go, oh, well, geez, if I'm going to do that, then today I need to get up and I need to run for 10 minutes straight.
Yes, it's the discipline to get better. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And so it's you get yourself conditioned for game day, right? When it comes around, when you really need it. So I love the fact that you had mentioned, practice this when things are good. Practice it when it's easy and things are calm. And so that way, when we get into the throes of times like the holidays where it's busy, that muscle is easier to use.
Yes, and then
Right?
it's sort of muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
And we go through and we go, oh man, am I breathing properly? How am I feeling? Am I practicing that gratefulness in this moment? I can do it now. And it takes time, and that's why I say just observe you, because it seems really simple on the surface. The idea is simple. To practice it is where it's difficult.
Yes, it's so incredibly difficult.
The effort.
Well, and also too, I find kindness, giving grace to oneself, especially this time of year when we're all under pressure, we're all going through the same thing, right? Meaning that we all have our things. We're all going through the same thing, meaning that we all have things. And I think that most of us in society are programmed to give grace to other individuals, but then are so mean to ourselves.
Oh my goodness, that voice in here,
Yes.
the itty bitty crappy committee that's up there.
Itty bitty crappy committee.
Just
I love that.
On and on and
Okay.
on and on and on, right? And
Yes.
we will extend that kindness and grace and gratitude to those around us, but how we treat ourselves is indicative. It's
Yes.
so important because it's how we treat others. It comes
true.
back to self-love, and forgiveness, and going, today I didn't do so well. In this moment, I didn't do so well.
And that's
Forgiveness,
okay.
and that's okay. Move through it. Lessons
Yep.
learned. Who are my teachers in this moment, and move through it. So what can I be grateful for? And I always bring that back. And when you bring in that gratitude with some slow breathing, like you said, It resets everything. And just 2 minutes of that
Yeah.
can fuel you for hours. You may not know it directly, but your body does. And I think in our culture, we're so head-led, we disconnect from the body. I know
Totally.
I'm guilty.
Totally.
So coming back to my heart center is a way to pull me in my body, reset my brain, and put my hands into better action. And I can be more kind. I can be that good stranger that needs to give you some grace because maybe you're not so good right now.
And yeah, and you know, maybe you stole my parking spot during Black Friday because you were up all night with a sick kid and you're in a hurry. I can look at that and go, oh, you know what? Well, they must have really needed that more than me.
Yeah, it's like bygones.
I'm going to go over here now, right? Because we all know that that's coming.
Yes.
That's coming for us. I just wanted to point out, too, that I think during this time of year as well, I know we're talking about dropping into our heart space, being mindful of ourselves and how we're feeling emotionally, recognizing that, acknowledging that. I think, too, that this time of year, it is so easy to lose sight of the physical things that we need, meaning sleeping, eating, and staying hydrated.
Yes.
Those, and I know it's so funny as an adult or a parent to point those things out because it's like I've been on this earth for over 40 something years. I think I know how to eat, breathe, and sleep and drink. But truly life gets in the way and then we don't manage those things properly for ourselves.
Yes.
That in itself can lead to like an immense grumpy stressfulness, right? Because like you put this litany of list in front of you and you're like, I got to get this done. So then what do? First thing in the morning? I start cleaning. Because I have to pass by the laundry room before I get to the kitchen to have breakfast. So I'm like, oh, clothes, they'll go in the washer while I'm eating. And so then I start laundry. And then before you know it, it's not just a simple task of me putting a wet load in the washer. It's a task of me doing that and then folding and then putting this and then separating that and then doing that, opposed to the one action and then going forward and still eating, right? Because I got to get that done because I have to eat, then I have to go and do all these other things. So it's just stopping and prioritizing your physical well-being.
Yes.
Because the mental and the physical, like you said, are so well connected.
They are, and I'm one that forgets until I'm super pressure prompted that I have to go use the bathroom.
Exactly.
I'm like,
how does that happen?
I know, it's like, oh my God, creeps in.
What is going? That's right. Like 3 hours ago, I had to go pee.
And then it creates the rush energy. And that's
Yes.
another byproduct of this is rush energy. And I know this season too, in the climate of today's world, there's so much chaos and despair bleeding into everyday life. And that's why it's important to just check in with self and go, you know, what can I give to? What can I control? Because gratitude is going to be like that self-care word. It's going to come up now and people are going to be, I'm so sick of hearing gratitude. That's a moment to check the attitude. That's
right. That's right.
Just saying. So oh my gosh, I love you.
Yeah,
so similar.
Seriously. Well, I mean, I can only imagine the amount of women that are going, oh my gosh, yes.
We see you.
We see you. We do. All right. Well, coming up, because we're going to take a quick break here, we're going to put everything into practice with a simple tool. It's a seasonal tool to help you gather perspective and also grow that gratitude. And there's no better time to start than the present. So we'll do that right when we come back. Welcome back to Mom Matters. Now that we've talked about gratitude under pressure, we're going to actually put gratitude into practice with a simple seasonal tool called the Fall Harvest, and it follows the rhythm of your season and your life. We have the lovely Shannon McGuire here to kind of guide us through this and the 4 parts, right?
Yes.
There's 4 parts. Okay, so kick this off. Let's talk about the seed maybe that we planted this year.
Yes.
Right?
We plant all kinds. So I am a gardener. I love to garden.
too.
I love to grow things.
Yes.
And whether we know it or not intentionally, we are planting seeds. I hope to, I want, whatever that may be. So this worksheet recharger, what we call it, gives you a chance to reflect on that. Just thinking through, what have I planted this year? What seeds have I planted?
Yeah.
And that's the first stage. And it takes about 10 minutes to self to go, wait, what have I planted? And oh man, it starts to unlock so much, Melissa.
Oh,
so much.
I love that. That's great. Okay, good, because we are in the season of harvesting.
Yes.
You can harvest the positive work that you've done throughout the year, right? Okay, and then you have a worksheet that kind of walks you through this. Love it. Okay,
Yes.
fall reflections.
Yes.
Lovely. All right. So, and we're sharing some of that too right now with our viewers right there. So that's the worksheet that kind of helps people get started on this journey of knowing where even to begin when coming to recognize their own blessings and their gratitude. So how can recognizing small wins, though, help you feel more centered during your busy season? Again, what's the benefit of doing this?
Yeah, so then as you think about the seeds you've planted, then you start to go, man, what am I harvesting now?
Yeah.
What have I planted back then that is showing up now? Because we usually are in this instant culture, we want it now. And to your point, from the athletic perspective, it takes the training and the practice. So the seeds are like that. What seeds have I planted? What seeds have I harvested? And therefore, it gives you the intentionality to pause and go, wow, I can celebrate and be grateful for what I've done. And it doesn't need to be something super big. If you're like me and you keep putting on there, I'm gonna lose this COVID-20 that I haven't lost in 5 years, you know, but maybe I'm celebrating that I've ate far less cookies under stress.
There you go.
It's the simple things and not the big. And so pulling in that harvest helps you recognize, wow, here's a gratitude note to self and what I can be grateful for. And then there's the things that we're still growing. Keep it incubating, keep it going. Consider a little greenhouse that you have your seed in.
I love that.
And keep it growing, but give it intention. Now that it's in front of you, you can keep adding to it. And then just pausing to go, as fall comes in and it's the season of change, it's happening within me. What am I ready to release? What am I ready to keep cultivating? And what am I willing to share?
Yes.
And that's why gratitude notes are so important. Whether it's a text, whether it's space on this sheet, think of the people and things you're grateful for and let them know.
Oh, I love
Dopamine
that.
hit. Dopamine
Yes.
hit.
Yes, and dopamine hit not only for you, but for somebody else as well. Oh, that's beautiful. I love this so much, Shannon. Love, 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 love. Thank you so much, my friend. And we talked about this too previously. You know, it is the season of change. Nature around you is letting go and making way for new things to grow, right? And we're also kind of closing into that little cozy period, if you will, to reflect.
Yes.
It's a time of reflection and a beautiful time, like you had mentioned, to really grow, appreciate, and harvest your gratitude. Thank you, Shannon. All right, so we had mentioned there is a worksheet. So you can download the Fall Harvest Tool at ktv.com/idaho-today, or you can go to suprememoms.com and fill out just one line in each section this week. Pair one gratitude thought with 60 to 90 seconds of steady breathing, and you can let your body feel the thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Shannon, because the best gift that you can give your family is a mom who feels good about being herself. So thanks for spending your me time with us today on Mom Matters. We'll see you next time, and until then, keep that gratitude flowing, even under pressure.